Disney vacations, all-inclusive resorts, cruises and family trips to Idaho. Travel to your favorite place and have a celebration. Sandpiper Vacations.
Broadcasting from the Sandpiper Vacation Studio. Welcome to Parents' Night Out with no new friends. The comedy break every parent deserves. This is the podcast where parenting meets pure, unfiltered fun. Real, raw hilarity. It's your night out without the kids, where nothing is off limits. And we say what everybody else is thinking. Whether you're a parent or just need a good laugh, we've got the adult humor you crave. So kick back, relax, and get ready to let loose with us. This is Parents' Night Out with no new friends.
Tuck your kids into bed, pay the babysitter a little bit extra. It's time for Parents' Night Out with No New Friends. There are so many great ways to connect with us. Just check out our website, nonewfriendspodcast.com. While you're there, check out our sweet merchandise and join our clubhouse. For as low as $2 a month, you can become a friend with benefits, have exclusive access to all sorts of content, including cutting room floor, early release, and entries into different contests. We stream live on YouTube, 8 p.m. every Monday night, Eastern Standard Time. You can watch this all unedited, live, raw, and interact with us as we record. My name is Scott. I am the host, and this week is kind of a best of. Not really a best of, but it's an unheard interview. That's right. This is the interview that I did with Dane on Creators United with Kevin Broussard, the original Indiana Jones stuntman from the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It is an incredible interview. It starts about 6 minutes in, but there's some fun banter beforehand that you're going to want to hear as it relates to some past topics. But here you go. Enjoy our interview with Kevin Broussard. And we'll be back with new episodes next week. What's good, everybody? We are Creators United. It's a podcast that we're still searching for our identity. It's like right before you come out of the closet. You're still searching. That's what we're doing. We are still in the closet of identity of podcasts. But I'm Scott, the host of the Parents' Night Out podcast with no new friends. And with me, the host of the big, beautiful Diz, and that's D-I-S, YouTube channel, Dane. Dane, how's it going, man?
Hello. It's doing well.
You know, something that's been on my mind, and I actually haven't shared this with you until now, so this is really exciting for me. So
I'm excited too.
We have our moments. I definitely have my moments on the podcast where I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. And typically it's after the episode is released that I realize that, or I make a mistake and I get fact checked. Well, Dane, this next story is about you, sir.
Oh, okay.
I received a phone call from someone who said, hey, I saw this video on YouTube, and apparently this guy is a friend of yours. And I was like, oh, do tell. And knowing who I was talking to on the phone, I knew exactly which video it was.
Oh, I think I know which. I know which one you. I know who you received a call from. Then.
So I'm like, well, Jeff Kaufman, which video are you talking about?
Yep.
So Jeff Kaufman calls me, and Jeff Kaufman, for those of you who don't know, was the lead defense attorney on the Tigger trial. And he's like, yeah, I watched this thing, and he got like most of the facts wrong. And I'm like,
very little things I want to point out, stuff that was not publicly available.
Probably right. And I'm like, I don't know, Jeff.
He did comment, which I was very appreciative of. He did correct me on the stuff that I didn't even know.
That's pretty cool, though.
So yeah, but I'm happy for it though, because then it's out there, and the stuff that I found that was public, obviously was not correct, which I apologize for.
So I told him, I said, dude, Dane's a good dude.
I want to say I made a mistake. I just want to come out and say I'm sorry. It will not happen again. I just want to,
Eat a sandwich.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that thank Scott, Jeff, thank you for calling me out in this public forum, just so that we can move on from this, and I hope to regain everyone's trust in the very near future.
So I told him, I was like, Dane is such a good guy. I was like, I'm sure it was minor little oversights, and Jeff wasn't mad, and he's like, I'm thinking of reaching out to him. I said, if you reached out to him, Dane would that would be the biggest thing for Dane. He would love that, and just be ready to do like a follow-up interview video, because I that would be really cool. But he said it's a good video. He's going to check out some of your other stuff.
Oh, well, at least he liked it. Whenever the people that like I do the videos on, like when they see it, then I'm obviously very nervous, because usually that doesn't go well for me. Last time I tried to do some of the times I've tried to do that, people have not been appreciative of the work.
Right.
But yeah, I'm glad that he liked it. He left a very nice comment, and also corrected the stuff that, like, apparently, I said it like in the script. I said like, what did I said something about the like evidence that they had that the opposing the girl had, and I said like something about I said something like which I the evidence that I assumed that they had. And like, just I couldn't find any of I couldn't find like the stuff that was written about the actual case itself.
Right.
So I just assumed that they had evidence. Apparently they didn't. So yeah, but that was appreciative. Jeff seems like a good guy, so I was thankful that. And
Jeff's a really good dude. And listen, if anything, it was nice to catch up with him for a little bit, because I hadn't talked to him in a while, and it was just
even
nice.
Funnier that just happened to be the video that I put the No New Friends ad in at the time.
Oh, that's
was the
right.
First one, because that's how he knew. Because he even said in the comment, I'm a buddy with Scott, and I was like, wait a minute. So I went back in the video, and that's the first one I put the ad in. So that's why he knew.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, how did he know that we were friends? And that would make sense now. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember when you put that video out. I wish I would have known that you were making that video, because I would have tried to see if I could make a connection there.
Yeah. I tried to make a connection. If I remember correctly, I tried to make a connection.
I think you did,
and I wasn't sure if. I don't know. I probably the email that I reached out to wasn't active or something anymore,
Whenyouneedus.com.
Yeah. Or maybe since I put out the video, the statute of limitations has run out or something, and you could talk about it now. I don't know.
I don't know. But
wasn't there that was in New York that that was shortened, right? Or something like that? Wasn't there like a law like that in some state that like now allowed people to talk about cases that are old? Because isn't that why Steven Tyler was hit with some of the legal stuff that he was hit with?
Could be. The only news I follow, the only current events that I follow, are the ones that impact my fantasy football team. Like when Tariq Hill gets arrested, like that is news to me.
Don't get me started on the fantasy.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because Dane, you know what you're doing, and you've had a good team all year in the Disneyverse League.
I know what I'm doing.
Well, okay, so all year it's been you, Alex, me in the top 3 spots, and the 3 of us have been kind of teeter-totting a little bit. And one of the Jackies, who I said, watch out, like this is a good team. She was in. I think she's the one that beat me. But so. Our draft was 4 days long. 4 days long. We had people drafting Rob Gronkowski, who's been retired for like 3 years.
We did.
Tom Brady was drafted.
We had a dude go 0-10 or 0-11 or something.
Well, yeah, they drafted 4 quarterbacks and didn't start one week. And I was like, how is this? Like, do you even have enough roster spots?
He doesn't have a quarterback. He has a backup quarterback on his roster.
I don't get it. And here we are, you and I get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
Yup.
And I'm like, how does this, in what world does this happen? Oh, I'll tell you. In any
Brock Purdy doesn't do anything.
in any podcast league that starts with Diz, it doesn't matter how good my team is, I'm going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Another case in point, a case of continuity, if you will. We do the Diz Journey Fantasy Football League a couple years ago,
Weren't you
right?
good in that league?
I had a great team.
I won in 1 year.
Yeah, I think you played my brother-in-law in the finals.
Yeah, because that was that's right, because that was in Disney. I was in Disney when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember pulling out my phone in Tomorrowland and seeing the final result.
Yep.
It's quite magical, actually.
Yeah. So we're in a league where one guy doesn't take a running back until the 10th round and drafts Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, he did.
Okay?
Yep.
And oh my God, I just saw the name.
We have a guest in the studio, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to you, my man. What's your favorite show in Disney World history?
Well, the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular is my favorite show ever.
Mine too!
This is unbelievable.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kevin Broussard, original Indiana Jones from the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. I am so nervous I can't even get out my intro.
No, come on. Seriously, it's just me.
There's a
Gosh.
celebrity on this show. It's quite
Nah,
impressive.
not so much.
Okay, this is unreal. Kevin, it's so good to meet you. I've met you in person once after I stuck around after the show, but I think there's a picture of me in your all's break room. I'm not allowed to the show anymore. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. But.
We did have to ban you.
Kevin, I've been going to Hollywood studios since it was MGM Studios back in 89, 90. And my sister and I used to put on the Epic Stunt Spectacular in my living room with a little Nerf basketball that we would roll down the hallway. And the way that my living room, I had a hallway and I could jump behind the couch just as the ball passed me. That was last week. I think I tore an ACL, but Kevin,
Okay, I was just about to ask you, how old were you when you did that?
last week?
It was on Monday for his birthday party.
Yeah. Kevin, thank you so much for being here. I actually heard an interview with you a couple weeks ago. It was an older interview on a different podcast that I just randomly stumbled upon. And thank you for being gracious with your time. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's not. It's what we're supposed to do in life, right? We're supposed to be kind and help people out, and that's what we do. Be humble and be kind.
Well, that was my biggest takeaway, is just how humble and kind you are. You've got one of the coolest jobs.
I do, don't I?
Yes.
Very.
And I've heard all the things that you've done, opening up cruise lines, and now you get to train all the indies, and you're still in the show.
Quite
Tell
an
me
honor.
about your journey.
It has been an amazing journey. Starting, you want me to go back, like way back?
Let's start at the beginning. Start at the very beginning.
All right, so I started with Disney in 1987, and I was originally hired for the Hoop-de-Doo Review. I was there for 2 years, and I got a call from casting asking me if I'd like to audition for an action character named Jack. So I did. I auditioned. I went away thinking, okay, I had a great audition, and I forgot about it. 3 months later, I got a call from casting saying, how would you like to be Indiana Jones? And I'm like, I didn't audition for that. And they said, yes, you did. You just didn't know it. Because it was a huge secret. They wanted this to be kept very hush-hush because they were bringing in the Glenn Randall Jr., the stunt coordinator for all the movies. He's also... oh gosh, this man. He is also the original Boba Fett stunt double
Oh, wow.
for the Star Wars movies. And this is the man that came to Orlando and handpicked who he wanted to be in his show. And I mean, what an honor for me. I was blown away. And we trained for 9 months with him. And while the stage was being built, because it was dirt back then,
Right.
and as it was getting closer, they were starting to advertise. This is a great story. They started advertising for the show, And one morning, we all were gathered at the warehouses, and these film people came in, and they wanted to find out if Glenn Randall would shoot a commercial running from the boulder. And he said, "Well, I'm not Indiana Jones. I've got three Indiana Jones over there. Why don't you choose one of those?" And they're like, "Oh, those are Disney employees. We really can't do that." And then there were three stuntmen, Glenn Randall Jr., Larry Holt, and Bob Yerkes. They were all the men that were training us. And they wanted one of them to be running from the boulder, but they didn't want to do it. Glenn Randall was like, "No, I don't feel like running from the boulder today. Why don't you ask him?" So they came over and they asked me if I would like to do it. And I said, "Of course, I would love to do it. What an honor." And what Disney did was fire me for the day and then hire me the next day. So I wasn't an employee, and I got to shoot the commercial, and I got SAG residuals for years
Oh,
from that
wow.
commercial. It
That's
was
cool.
amazing. Just amazing.
Now, did
So-
that hurt your seniority when it came to schedule bids? Because
Not at
now,
all.
okay.
Not at all. But you would think it would, but it did not. And then let's fast forward the next 30 years. I portrayed Indiana Jones, hopefully to the very best that I could do. And I always say I haven't worked, because I've been at the stage now for 35 years, Disney for 37. But I always say I haven't worked in 35 years. I've just played.
Sure. That's amazing. I mean, it's like it's the dream.
Oh,
right?
it
You do
is.
something that you love, and you can make a living doing it.
Truly is. And that's what I've tried to pass on to my kids. I'm like, you just got to find something that you're passionate about and that you really, really want to do. And then it's never a job.
Oh, that's so
So-
cool.
Yeah. So cool.
Now, you got to do a lot of, to me, iconic things. You were the Indiana Jones stuntman during the Full House Disney episode. You had a little bit of a mullet back then, I think,
Oh,
right?
yeah. I had a big old mullet.
Yeah. Now, were you also in the Donnie Wahlberg New Kids on the Block Wildest Dreams?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay.
I think that was Larry Lee.
Okay. But you got to be the Star Wars Indiana Jones during that.
I
Like,
did. I did. And what an honor that show was, because it was 3 shows for one night. And George Lucas was in the audience. They were all there. All the Star Wars people, Mark Hamill, they were all there. And the fact that the fans were so into this, it was just, when I dropped in from the ceiling, I've only heard that applause once later since then. But it was just uproarious. It was just so loud. They were so into the show. And there was a part where I was going through the punjies, and we combined Star Wars and Indiana Jones together, right?
Right.
With this one show. So Jar Jar's head was on one of the punjies, and
Right.
it was covered up so they couldn't see it. And then when the punji popped up, that cover stayed down, and his head was supposed to be on top of the punji, right? Well, the gag didn't work. I went through the punjies. Jar Jar's head came off. And then I looked at it and I'm like, I got to do something. So I went down the stairs. I picked up Jar Jar's head and I, like this, holding his head like this. And I went, "Really, George? Jar Jar?" And I stuck it on the punji and I went up the stairs.
It seems like every show is just so much fun to you guys. How much improv are you allowed to throw in there? To me, not much, because the lines seem to be the same every single show, and I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I know. I know you have. So we do have leeway, to improv if the situation arises and we need to fill time or fill space, right? But for the most part, yes, the show just runs from beginning to end, usually all the same dialogue. But the show is never the same. I have to tell you that. It has never been the same for 35 years because you have different cast members who do things differently. And some are great, and some are not.
Right. Who are not? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to pretend that.
Yeah, name
Just
names.
kidding. Just kidding. So, how many years? And I know you took a break to do some other stuff, but how many years from start to finish did you play indie?
I would for a total of 30 years.
Okay, wow.
And that 30th anniversary show where they invited everyone who had ever been a part, whether you were talent or tech or costuming or stage manager or show director, they were all invited to the 30th anniversary show. And that is the second time I heard that uproarious applause when I dropped in and they found out who the indie was that was doing the 30th
Right.
show. Now, I didn't get to do the whole show. I only got to do scene one, but that was an honor. And
Right.
I was so honored to be able to do it.
So, had you stopped playing indie at that point, and they had you kind of come back to it for one night, limited time magic?
Well, kind of. I mean, for the most part, yes, I had moved on. They put me into one of the acting roles in the
Right.
show. And I was happy to do that because they also told me that I would still be able to train the indies when they came in. And that's my passion.
Right.
Seeing the light in someone's eye when they finally get the whip or a high fall that they, might have been a stumbling block for them when they finally feel good enough to do it. So, yeah, I was still doing it, but it was rare.
Right. You know what I love about you and what I've heard in interviews and just first of all, whether you're the director or the talent director or the various roles that you play now, it looks like you're having so much fun.
I am.
It's like it's like this is just fun for him. But you tell a story, and I love that you appreciate the small things, like when you've trained a new indie. But you tell a story about a picture that you saw with a father and their child. Can you kind of
Actually, a
talk
picture
about
I
that?
took.
Okay, yeah. Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. So I needed something to inspire these new people that were coming in. Because, I'm old school and I'm all about emotions and Indiana Jones, they tie themselves together very well. And I needed something for these new indies to kind of latch onto, for them to know how important it is what you're doing out there. So there was a father and a son. They both had Indiana Jones hats on, and the father's got his arm around his son like this, but I took the picture from the backside. So they're looking at the show, right? And that picture just speaks volumes about what that dad is giving up. Because as a father, you always want your son to look up to you and you want to be, you want to be his hero.
Right.
And that picture just conveyed it so well. So I tried to convey that to my new indies, and that's really all I had to do was show them that picture because they understood, yes, what they're doing. They are portraying a character, but there's more to it. You are that kid's hero at that moment, right? And that it just means so much.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. The first
You're
time I
welcome.
heard that story, I have used that story, and I credit you for my staff because it's just such a cool moment, and I mean, you embody what it is to be a Disney cast member.
Thank you.
To just how important every single role that's being played out at Walt Disney World is. So
Right.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What is the biggest difference between playing indie 30 years ago and then someone playing indie now? What are the biggest differences?
Playing it 30 years ago was a lot harder. It truly
Okay.
was. We didn't have the huge ceiling fans that they have now. Uh, they're actually called big ass fans, and they're
Yes, they are.
wonderful. They're wonderful. They keep the audience cool and they keep us cool. But we didn't have those back then. And in the middle of summer, it was extremely hot. We our costume was not as finely tuned as it is right now.
Hmm.
The boots that we wore back then were construction boots, steel toe.
Oh my gosh.
They weighed probably 10 pounds, and that's not a lie.
Oh my gosh.
And probably the worst is that during peak seasons, we had 14 shows a day. Yeah.
Oh my
And
God. I think you peak now at
casts.
6.
Two casts,
Okay.
right? So you had 7 and 7. And if one of your indies didn't show up for the PM cast, you were asked, "Hey, can you stay?" And you had to do another probably 4 shows.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. But I was a lot younger then, and I could do
Sure.
that.
So I think you peak at 6 shows now, right?
Yeah, we have 5.
5.
5 shows a day.
Wow. And so yeah, there's not really an opportunity for the nighttime show anymore, which was always my favorite as a kid.
I know. And that show, I'm telling you, is designed to be done at nighttime.
Yeah.
Because the lighting on the berms and the lighting in scene 1, oh, it's just fantastic.
It's incredible.
It really is.
I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, I would go see 3 indie shows per day. Okay, I would go to the first. Well, stop. I go to the first. I would go
You're
to the
still
first,
a kid.
I am, especially when it comes to the Indiana Jones stunt show. I have to, Kevin. I have to watch myself because sometimes I'll say the lines, and I try to say it very quietly so that I'm not ruining the show for everybody else. Like my favorite line is that, "Can you explain the dangers of working with pyrotechnics?" And then usually Big Steve is my favorite.
Oh, God, yeah.
Working with pyrotechnics, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Anyway, 3 shows. First show, and then I would force my parents to take us to Backlot Express. And we would sit by the table right by the fence so I could see from the side. And then we'd go see the nighttime
That's
show.
amazing. That's amazing.
So I know the show very, very well.
Yeah, you do.
Any chance of the audience volunteers, but more importantly, the plant and the audience coming back?
Unfortunately, I don't think that will happen. I really wish it would. I really do. We just got back our honorary assistant directors, which is it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
So we have 2 kids coming, 2 or 1 or sometimes 3, and they come down and they say lights, camera, action, and the show starts. And that is, like I said, a step in the right direction. But I think the powers that be, they kind of like how the show flows right now. It's pretty much, a half an hour to 35 minutes long. And when we add the extras, it's about a 45-minute show.
Oh, wow.
So
I guess I never
and
really.
they also have to maintain costumes.
Yeah.
And, but boy, would I love to see that come back.
Yeah, for me,
I'm still fighting for it.
Well, keep that fight going, Kevin. Also, I'll be the first on the petition.
I know.
The plant was my favorite part.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Like, the volunteers, that's whatever. But the plant coming out, that
So,
was.
I got to tell you, that was one of my favorite roles to play. I got to do the show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I would be in the audience. I'd be like scooting across the aisle, trying to find my seat. And then she'd pick me.
Sure.
But I had popcorn in my hand, right? So I'd turn around like I was surprised and the popcorn would go everywhere. Or I had an ice cream in my hand and I would bring that down on the stage. And then when she had me balance on one leg, I would balance. You can find this on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. And then I would lose my balance and I'd throw the ice cream up as high as I could. It would splatter. I'd pick it up and I'd take a bite. Oh, that was a fun role.
I'm sure. So back in the day, did you get opportunities to play different roles? Obviously.
Yeah, I absolutely did. Within
That's
the
changed
show,
a little bit.
I have been every character within the show except for the giant and Marion.
Okay. And now has he been with you since the beginning?
He was 6 months after me.
Okay.
It's very funny because on the Disney Plus special, I don't know if you saw it, or I'm sure
Oh,
you saw it. Yeah. All right. So behind the scenes,
listen, I am a normal person. I promise. I know it's coming across as a little bit creepy, but I am normal.
so on that, they mixed it up of who Robert was and who I was. And they said that he was a day one cast member. And I'm sitting there watching it in the green room with him. And that announcement came on, and I went, the hell you are. And that's been the running joke ever since. He's just a day one cast member. But
That's
actually,
funny.
he and Michelle Waitman came in together 6 months after I did.
Okay. And Michelle's still with the show. So
Michelle is still with the show, and she's still doing Marion.
that's crazy.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Is that where the joke, because I catch it every once in a while, where Justin says, I just want to make mom and dad proud. Is that when both of you are in the show together at some point, that's when that line comes out?
Well, I'm not his dad, but he
Right.
calls me dad, and I call him son in the show. So I call him son when I see him.
That's
Because it's
fine.
just
Who's your favorite current Indian? Why is it Justin?
and why is it? Or
And why is
isn't
it Justin? Because really, that's all we're here to talk about is just. No, I'm only kidding. Justin's been so nice to me every time I'm there. You know, he says hi and all that. I think he initiated the wanted poster in the green room, but no.
Justin is amazing. All of the indies right now that are lucky enough to portray this character, they are all fantastic. If I had to pick one, do I have to pick one?
You don't have to pick one.
Okay. I mean, I can.
If you want. Then if you can, then let's do it.
It's Aaron Zoldan.
Aaron, okay. He's a
Because
good one.
He is fantastic. He's also we train now together.
Okay.
So we're like co-trainers when the indies come in. And he just has the same mindset that I do and that I did when I did the role. There's no one who has more pride about the role right now that's doing it than him. He's
That's so
fantastic.
cool. Now, can you take me through, because sometimes I'll see an indie perform scene one, the temple scene, and then a different indie in scene two, which is the marketplace. And then sometimes that same indie in scene three, the plane, sometimes they'll go back to the first one.
Yep.
What's kind of happening there, and why does that happen?
That's a great question. So you more than likely were lucky enough to see a new indie going into show, because that's how we get them in. We start with, when we start our training, we start with scene one
Okay.
because it's the most difficult. You got to remember, there's no other actor on stage to help you. You know, it's just you and 2,000 people out in the audience watching you. And I don't want the audience to be bored. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they have to tell a story, and that story has to unfold as you're going through the stunts. So we'll start with scene one, and then when they are signed off in scene one, they'll be able to do it in show. And then our full-time indie will come in for scenes 2 and 3. And then as they progress and they learn more, then we jump to scene 3, because that's the next scene that they would learn that's not as involved. You have one actor that you're really, well, two, but it's just not as involved.
Sure.
Scene 2 is, of course, the most involved. So that's the last scene that we train them on. And that's the last scene they go into.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How long does it take to learn the whip routine?
So it varies with each indie that we train. I've had guys who come in and pick it up, and they may have never picked it up in their life, but they're just very aware of their body and how it moves, or they played baseball. Playing baseball, believe it or not, is a great training ground to use a whip.
Okay.
But they have 9 weeks to learn the show. That's it.
Wow.
And that's a lot. It's a lot of information. The note sessions are long and lengthy. And then as they get better, they get shorter and shorter. But um, yeah, only 9 weeks to learn the show.
Now, is that overnight rehearsals? Is that overnight? When does that
It
process
happens
happen?
it happens after our daily ops. So our
Okay.
last show will end. They'll more than likely the techs will do a burn off, getting rid of all of the gases that are on stage, and then we can start soon after that. And we'll go to 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a lot of time, you know.
No.
It's less than 4 hours that they get.
Wow.
And it there's the other side of the coin is that if I'm only training one indie, that's not really as good as training two. Three is almost too much, but it still works. But two is great because one can watch the other one.
Sure.
They can get in on the note sessions together, learn from their notes, what we're looking for and what we want. And then they also get a break. So they get to sit and rest and then,
Right.
okay, come on, you're back on.
Now, you still perform the stunts when you're training?
I do.
How much fun is that? That's
Oh, it's my joy. You have no idea. Uh, Unfortunately, they made me stop doing rope drop. I don't know why. There's no reason for it because I can still do it. But I was nicknamed the golden retriever of the rope drop because when I got up there to do the rope drop, it's so exciting. It's the best ride in the park.
sure, I bet.
It really is. Do you know what it is?
I've heard that it's a similar technology as something on Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. Okay.
So it is a Space Mountain braking system,
That's crazy.
and we are the car, you know?
Right, right. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Dane, I'm hogging all the questions. Do you have any questions for Kevin Broussard, the original Indiana Jones stunt performer at Hollywood Studios?
I do. I want to go back to the audition. What was the audition like? Like, what did they have you do exactly? Because if you didn't know,
So
you were auditioning for indie. So
I had no idea. And there, like I said, there was an action character named Jack, and we were brought into the room. Some of us had more than one people that were brought into the room, and some of us went in just by ourselves. I was lucky enough to go in by myself. Glenn Randall was there. Barbara Epstein was there. She was our acting coach. I didn't know who she was, but I found out later she's fantastic. She makes you see things differently that you would not think about, as an actor. And I really appreciated that. Uh, and then I did the script that they gave me. I read it and I left. They weren't looking at how I threw a punch or anything. I will say that they did go one step further with me because they had me not do a dance, but move, right? And back in the day, I could move well. I'm not a dancer. I would never classify myself as a dancer.
you
I
did do
did take
musicals
dance.
though.
What's that?
You did do musicals. Like, didn't you do Tarzan Rocks?
I absolutely did. Yes. Um, and earlier, I mean, I've taken dance classes. I took a lot. I mean, I married a ballerina, so I didn't have a choice. But they had me move at the audition, and I think that's what got me the job because Glenn liked the way that I moved. I didn't move like a dancer. I moved like a man.
Hmm. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious what what they told you if they didn't. If obviously they didn't say it was for the stunt spectacular. Tell us a little bit about what opening day was like for the
Oh,
show.
opening day was so exciting because Michael Eisner was there, George Lucas was there as well. Um, the audience was just so pumped up, and so was the cast because we had worked for 9 months and our script changed. I can't tell you how many times. We went through daily changes. We had a script book that was like about this thick. And if you had different color pages, you had a brand new script. And you had to learn those lines before you went out on stage. Which
Were you hired before Jerry came in to redesign the whole show?
Jerry who?
Jerry Reese.
I think you're making up. Is this a Remy fact?
No. They had like an original. Maybe this is not known, but they had a like an original show, and then they completely overhauled it to be something completely different.
Yes, that did happen. So yes, I was hired, I guess, before this person. I don't know who that person is. I don't recognize that name. But
Okay, I was just wondering.
no, but we had a pre-show before the actual show started. There were these two characters named Bubbles and Bernie, and they were the crowd warm-up, right? And they had a good 10 to 12 minute shtick that went on before the actual casting, bringing down the extras and all of that. So that was crazy. It was a really long show.
Yes, I remember. I vaguely remember that. I feel like it. Yeah, that's
Well,
that's
when we
crazy.
first opened too, the park had opened, but our show was not quite finished yet. But Disney thought it would be great if they opened up the audience and allowed the guests to go in and watch the rehearsals. So yeah, we were in a goldfish bowl for the longest time.
There's two goldfish bowls in Hollywood Studios at one point.
That is my new answer for if you could invent time travel, what would you go back and do? That's one of my things. I would go back and watch the rehearsals of Indiana Jones before it opened up.
Yeah, they were fun. They really were.
Any blooper moments from a show that you can remember? And what's your favorite?
Gosh, there's so many blooper moments that happen.
The
I
disaster that everyone talks about in the 90s where the boulder came off the track.
Oh, that's the only time. It's on YouTube. You'll find it, and it is
Disaster at
listed as that
Yep.
disaster
Yep.
at Walt Disney Studios. Yeah. That and it's actually part of my tour when I give a tour of the stage. It's one of the things I'll pull up on YouTube and show them. Now, the thing about it is the indie that is in that video, he was fantastic. He was a great indie. And unfortunately, he did get injured. He had a lot of nerve damage in his legs, and he never really came back to our show, which was sad. Now, he went on and he's got a great career right now, but it was kind of sad what happened to him because we all loved him so much at our stage. But what was my point?
I didn't know that he got injured.
Yeah, that's
The
that's
blooper.
terrible.
The blooper
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, your favorite blooper.
There is and I won't mention the indie's name, but there was an indie who was being checked off for scene one.
Okay.
Actually, he had been checked off and he was performing his first scene one in front of an audience. And the show director and myself were sitting in the audience and he was starting to go through the pungies and he just misstepped. That's all he did. And when he did, the punji went up his back. So it went under his jacket, right? And he's kind of on there.
Okay.
Now, he could have gotten off, but what he did, he took the satchel, which is under the jacket, and he went like that, essentially locking himself onto the punji. So that's known as the dick on the stick.
So how did he get? Did they have to lower the punji?
Yeah, cut.
Cut.
Cut. Start again.
I will say the indies nowadays, when especially when that boulder doesn't come out and they call cut, and you usually give it two chances.
Yep, we'll give it two chances.
They are incredible at keeping that crowd going.
They really are.
Yes, they're breaking character, but I don't. They do it so well. I don't even care. It doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter. They do a great job. We have one that we call the pandering king because he panders the audience so well, and he really does. He does a great job. And then later he'll incorporate that because he'll get, he'll raise his arms like that and try to get the audience to applaud, and they'll applaud. And then he incorporates that later in his interview, and he'll finish the interview and go like this, and they'll scream bloody murder for it.
Would that be Ryan?
Right. Yes.
I've seen him do it. This is okay, Kevin. I assure you, I'm normal. I've got a wife, 3 kids. The fact that I know this much, I'm a normal person. I promise.
It's all right. I promise. It's all right.
Thank you.
It's so great I'm telling you, I love the fans. There is nothing better. The fans are why we are still there. So please don't ever apologize.
All right. Listen, I had a scary moment when the announcement of Monsters Inc. coming to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
And I was scared for a moment because in that same announcement is, Animal Kingdom's getting in Indiana Jones ride. And I was like, oh, no.
I know. We all held our breath too.
Yeah, but thankfully we're just getting rid of the Muppets. They don't matter.
Yeah.
Keep
Which
keep
is
Indy.
sad.
It's very sad. I don't know. Listen, I'm excited about Monsters Inc. I'm not excited about the placement. I think that there were better places.
Yeah, I agree.
Animation Courtyard. But
exactly.
Let's not get political here, but yes.
Dane has a love for animation. The animation. He did a YouTube video.
For the building, not for
the building. Yeah, he did a full documentary. Interviewed some of the animators and some of the original Imagineers from that building. So he's got a love for that.
I do. Love that building.
Kevin, what before we let you go, what do you want the audience to know about you and your story and just all of the indies? What's kind of the I don't know. That's a vague question. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah, Kevin, what's your schedule like for tomorrow? What are you doing?
I'm working.
What's the future for Kevin?
That's a great question. Especially right now, because I'm like I said, I'm at 37 years with Walt Disney World. Loved every minute of it. I'm trying to make it to 40. I'd like to be that 40-year cast member. That would be fun. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it might. My wife and I are starting to plan our retirement. I'm 63 years old. And
what?
Yeah. And
wow.
I love being 63 years old. But I want to enjoy my kids and I want to enjoy my wife. I want to travel with her. So I don't know. I really don't know what the future for Kevin holds yet. Right now, I am still happy where I am. I still laugh every day. I don't go in, I got to do 5 shows. I feel blessed and lucky to be able to do 5 shows. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm good where I am.
That's incredible. All right. So
now, if they take the training away from me, that might be a different story.
Okay. So as long as you keep the training, that prolongs your career there. Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely.
I need to ask you about the Dial of Destiny premiere. What was Harrison Ford like?
How did I forget this? My bad.
It's the pinnacle.
Well, you didn't know about the interview, so you got it. It's okay.
That's true.
It was the absolute pinnacle of my career at Disney. I was told at the end of a show by Rayvon, who is the Disney ambassador, who came on, and there were cameras that came on behind him so they could film the whole thing. And he surprised me and told me that I was going to Hollywood to be on the red carpet, to meet Harrison Ford and watch the movie, and I could bring my wife. What? Are you kidding me? Well, my wife didn't want to go because she knew the whole thing was going to be filmed and documented, and she just didn't. She's not into all of that. Um, so it was my wife that suggested, "Why don't you take Michelle, who was my Marion of 30 years, right?" And I said, "That's a great idea. I'll ask." Well, I didn't have to even ask. Michelle, Michelle was already saying, "Yes, I'll go." Uh, and it was just a wonderful trip out to Hollywood. They sent us out there where we had a day before the actual premiere and got to kind of tootle around Hollywood a little bit. That was fun. I ate a lot.
There's a lot of good food in Hollywood.
Yeah. And then the night of the actual premiere, man, they treated us from start to finish like we were Hollywood stars, truly. Um, they picked us up in limousines. They dropped us off in limousines. The night of the premiere, they met us down in the lobby. They escorted us to where we were going. We got our badges. We got the microphones. Why do we need microphones? I don't know, but we needed microphones. Um, because look, we found out later we were doing an interview, and that was fun because being interviewed by the Hollywood Reporter, I had no idea what they were going to ask. And I was pulling answers out of my butt. And I just, I did, I didn't want to sound like a stupid stuntman, and not that there are stupid stuntmen. I'm just saying I wanted to hopefully answer the questions as eloquently as I possibly could. And I think I did. Uh, Everybody said it was good, so I felt good about that. But then it came time, and we were escorted in front of the wall where all the pictures happen, right? And there's like 300 photographers in front of you, and they're all, calling your name. And I'm trying to get pictures. Okay, great. Yeah, it was so exciting. And then we were escorted away. We were like in a holding area, and this beautiful blonde woman comes over to me and goes, "Kevin Broussard?" And I went, "Yes." And she grabs my hand, takes me over. She goes, "Kevin Broussard, Harrison Ford." And I started to introduce myself, and he stopped me and said, "Oh, I know who you are. You're the two stunt people from Florida. You're Kevin and you're Michelle." And my mouth did exactly what yours is. It dropped just
Wow.
completely open. And he was so kind, so gracious with his time. We, we had this interaction with him, which probably lasted about 3 minutes. And we thought, oh my gosh, this is a busy man. We need to let him go. And we were thanking him. And he goes, "Well, don't you guys want a picture or something?" And we're
Wow.
like, "That would be great."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite the event. And then we got to go watch the movie. And I don't know if you know this or not, but before the movie started, they brought all the stars up onto the stage, and the director as well. And then I believe it was George who announced what was going to happen next. And the screen was absolutely enormous. I've never seen a bigger film screen. It was just enormous. And he was talking about how the film all came together, but of course it would be nothing if John Williams had not come out of retirement and, done the score. And then he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, John Williams." And this huge screen raises up, and there's a full orchestra behind it. I mean, it was just surreal. It was unbelievable.
That's so
And then
cool.
and then he went into explain how the theme came to be, the new theme. It was amazing, just amazing. Oh, I get
That's
goosebumps.
right. Yeah. That's incredible. Dane, do you know the difference between Kevin and Harrison Ford?
I think.
About $200 million.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the role. I was like,
No, it's a line from the show.
No, it's a
Dane.
joke from the show.
Oh, okay. I was gonna do the same.
Has Harrison Ford
same
ever
role.
seen the stunt show?
Yes, he has. He's been there. And he got to see a wonderful indie perform the show, Jeff Robinson, who Jeff Robinson really had Harrison Ford's run down. He had it pat, man. There was nobody that could mimic his run like Jeff Robinson.
That's
Did an
cool.
amazing job. And I know Harrison loved the show when he was done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Dane, any last questions for Kevin?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find the phrasing for this once. But you mentioned earlier about your wife and children. I'm assuming your children are now grown up. Do they know Dad as Indiana Jones, or do they know Dad as Kevin?
Both. They know me as Dad and they know me as Indy. It's been great having this role and having the kids and bringing them to see the show. My son was just an Indiana Jones aficionado. He knew everything about Indiana Jones when he was growing up. My daughters were the same. They knew everything. They loved it. Now, one of my fondest memories of the Indiana Jones show, and Scott, you'll be able to see this. Dane, have you seen the show?
Yes.
Okay, good answer.
Not as many times as Scott, but yes, I have.
I don't think
Okay,
anybody's
good.
seen it
I
as
don't
many
think
times.
I've
as me.
ever seen. I probably have. I'm sure I have seen you in it.
I hope you have.
Sure.
So I came out of rope drop. I hit the ground. I had lit my torch, and my daughter and my wife are in the front row in the VIP section, and my daughter's on the bar like this, right? Just so excited. And I go down to blow the dust, and I hear, "Daddy! Daddy!" Well, now my shoulders are shrugging because I'm laughing. The audience knows that's my daughter. They're laughing. It was the best moment.
Oh,
It
that's
was
so
just so great. She just wanted me to say hi.
cool.
So I did. I shot her a look and I waved and I
That's
went
adorable.
about my business. Finished the show.
I love that.
But it was such a great moment.
Yeah, Kevin, hang on one second.
Here, I'll ask a question. Do you think you ever play indie again? You think you do it one last time?
I would love to. I absolutely would love to. Before I leave, that's my plan. So I'll let you know.
Yeah. No, you're in remarkable shape. I mean, you easily could. It looks like.
I
like
thank you. I
I don't know how
appreciate
you
that.
feel,
I work.
but yeah.
No, I work very hard. I'm at the gym 7 days a week because I think if you stop, you start to break, and I don't want to start to break.
Sorry, I had to grab my 12-year-old real quick. I said, "Hey, sweetheart, come here." She goes, "That's the director from Indiana Jones." My daughter is just as big of a fan. She doesn't see the show as much as I do because she's got that thing called school. But she's
tell her I said
definitely a
hi.
huge fan. I will. I asked her. I said, "Do you want to say hi?" She's in middle school, so she's too cool for that. You know.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, Kevin, thank you. This was a huge thrill. Dane, thank you for the birthday gift. This was
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you so much. This was incredible. I like I said, I heard an interview with you on a different podcast. I don't even remember what it was. It was just I was on a YouTube wormhole, just finding different old indies and their videos posting. There's one who goes through scene by scene on how all the effects work, and I'm like, oh, the magic.
Oh yeah, that guy was never supposed to do that.
Oh, I'm sure. But I heard your interview and it was incredible, and you're just so humble, and you appreciate the role that you play in it, and I just appreciate your time so much.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. Well, this has been a pleasure. It's been a blast.
Thank you. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much, Kevin.
Yeah,
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Dane. All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
That was incredible.
Happy birthday, my man.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. I mean, I could have talked to him for another hour.
Yeah,
But he gave us 40 minutes. I didn't want to, bogart his
Humble guy.
entire.
If it wasn't 8:20 at night, we could have gone even longer with him. I feel like he's such a great guy. I reached out to him.
Yeah, how did you do that?
So it was very hard to keep it from you. So if anyone doesn't know, Scott didn't know anything about this. We did not. Me and Ryan, we did not tell him about this. I had this idea a few months ago. I was like, what if we did like an Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular like episode, and we got Justin, because all of us follow each other on Instagram, and we got the original Indy, and then I was like, and then from there I was like, Scott's birthday is coming up. I just get the original Indy for him for his birthday and play it off as a birthday guest to get birthday present interview. So I reached out to him. I just emailed him, and he was just like, yeah, where and whenever, whatever you need. Incredible.
Amazing.
Guy. Incredible
Amazing.
guy.
Thank you. So that was such a big thrill. I've wanted to have, I've thought about reaching out to him to come on Parents Night Out, but it doesn't make any sense. It's not the nature of our show, and the nature of our show, it doesn't necessarily. We tried to do interviews, but it just doesn't work. Right. And I'm all about content first, but in this format, it's totally cool. And I appreciate
content creation that falls in the realm of so many different things. So on this show, we've been able to get musicians and actors and stuff like that on.
Yeah.
So I'm
glad that was incredible. That was incredible. I'm sorry I asked all the questions.
Those were better questions than the one I had. So
I know
mine were so basic. I mean,
the problem is I know so much about that show and the people
so good.
That are in it. I know, but it comes across real creepy, Dane.
It's all right.
When I'm like, okay, well, your daughter Sally Sue was born on a December day. Like, that's a problem, Dane. But no, seriously, thank you. That was incredible. That is a highlight moment for me. And if you don't mind, what I would like to do is I'd like to, after we release it as Creators United, I'd love to release it as a Parents Night Out episode as well. If there's ever, a week where we have to take off, because that was so much fun. And please send me the video. That was cool. Yes. I'll be watching it tonight when never mind. Okay. I'm just kidding.
Might not want to say that, man.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. That was incredible. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough. My cheeks are hurting from smiling. That was so cool.
Absolutely. Well, let's end this episode off right here. I got a question for you, my man. Since Ryan isn't here, I'll do the question.
Okay.
Top 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Top 3? Does it have to be in order?
It could, if that's your list.
Okay, no, I've got it in order. Temple is number 1.
Indiana Jones.
Temple of Doom's my number 1. Last Crusade's number 2. Raiders number 3. Then I would put Dial of Destiny as 4, and the
Crystal Skull.
Yeah, that one as a deep 5. I would maybe even put it as number 6. I would probably put that lower than the Young Indiana Jones series that came out, which was god awful.
See, dude, I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm putting Dial of Destiny at 5, and then I'm putting Crystal Skull at 4. If we're doing that,
because I like Dial of Destiny.
I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull before they start on the actual getting to the Crystal Skull stuff. Like the first half of that movie is, I think, spectacular. I think it's
you know what?
Really
you know what, Dean? I don't disagree with you. I think you may be right.
Like the fridge thing is silly, but like this is the same movie, like Raiders ending. Like,
do you know why the fridge thing is in there?
Yes, and I forget it. Tell me.
It's homage to the original Back to the Future concept.
Really?
The original Back to the Future concept, Robert Zemeckis was going to use a refrigerator and
Really? What?
a nuclear. Yeah, that was going to be the time travel.
Huh. Oh, that wasn't the reason I thought then. I did not know
So,
that. That's
Dane,
interesting.
so and Ryan had said this once, that if you think about all of the Indiana Jones movies, they all have a supernatural type ending
Yes.
to it. And I never really appreciated that until he said that. And so it does make Crystal Skull a little bit better, because
Yes.
I just, for me, it was just so far out there with the aliens.
The only thing that I don't like, the only reason I don't like the alien stuff being in the movie is because, okay, so first, the alien thing, that was supposed to be in Raiders, right? That was like an original concept by George. He wanted to make an Indiana Jones, like, alien movie. Like, that was a very early concept, I think, at least.
It never becomes a franchise if he does that.
Yeah, that is true. I think that's why he actually didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure that was a concept for a very long time that he had. So it's not out of the ordinary for an Indiana Jones to have aliens in it. There were basically aliens in it at the end of Raiders with the demons and stuff, that, or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes it's the way that the movie is written. It's the way that the aliens are written into the story, and it's the way that the aliens look.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been a lot better movie if the and this might, it probably makes no sense. It would probably make it worse, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if they actually never actually saw the alien and then, like, the bones never came alive again, because that's where it loses me.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
agreed.
Now that is too much. For some
You're not
reason.
wrong. It was a really good movie until that moment, and that moment ruins it. You're right. You're right. And also, I think I struggled seeing Harrison Ford as Indy so old.
Yes.
And it was like,
performances aside, because in Crystal Skull the performances are not very good in my opinion.
To me, it was so odd, because you have these three iconic movies, Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. And then 20, 30 years later, they do Crystal Skull. And to me, it was almost like he had time traveled, because you're used to seeing him in the 30s and 40s, and now he's in like the 50s and 60s. It just didn't make any sense. I struggled with that. Whereas Dial of Destiny, I knew he was old.
Yeah.
I knew what to expect. And technology's gotten a lot better. The making him younger gave me that easy transition. So I think the filmmaking may have been better. I don't know, but come to think of it, Dial of Destiny is a very slow moving movie until the end. So I get it. I did like Dial of Destiny better.
Yeah. And then also for me, it's Dial of Destiny number 5, Crystal Skull 4, 3 is Temple of Doom, and then 2 is Last Crusade, and then number 1 Raiders. I don't know why people like Temple so much. It is I don't like it.
I'll tell you, for me, it was the first one I ever saw.
Okay, there you go. I'm sure that's the reason for a lot of other people, but I just don't like. I don't know why. I've never gotten into that film. I think it's because of how weak the supporting character is. Like the supporting female,
Spielberg's wife.
Don't like her. Don't like the character. I don't like the character.
Well, I get it. I think the problem. Here's the problem. Why did they go away from Karen Allen in the next 2 movies?
I don't know.
I think it makes a stronger story if you keep Karen Allen instead of these just different damsels. I don't know. I had a problem with that. But again, I saw Temple of Doom first, so to me it was always her. And I was like, oh, who's this Marion? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I love Short Round. I love the scene
I like Short Round.
The scene when they're at dinner was one of the neatest scenes to me, with all the different foods and I loved my mom's reaction to the bug scene. It was just so cool. And then I saw Raiders much later. I actually saw Raiders after seeing the Indiana Jones stunt show. So
I think I might have too. I most definitely did. Now that
Yeah.
I think about it, because I saw the Stunt show when I was like 3 and 5. So.
and I think some of the scenes in the stunt show are better than the ones in the movie.
No, I can't agree with you there.
The
Can't
the
agree with you
marketplace
there.
scene. The marketplace scene is just it's longer in the stunt show, and it's funnier. I don't know. It's
Timed it. Stopwatch when you're watching.
no, but and the I don't love Raiders as a movie. I love the scenes that they duplicate in the movie or in the stunt show. But yeah, it's my least favorite of the original three.
Yeah.
And Crusade was just brilliant.
Dude, Last Crusade is such an underrated movie.
It is.
Love
It is.
Last Crusade.
And I could put Last Crusade over Temple of Doom because it's so funny. Sean Connery was so funny.
So good, dude.
And they brought back some nostalgia, bringing John Rhys Davies back, and then Marcus Brody, who neither of those two guys were in the second movie. Like the second movie is almost like a standalone movie. If you think about it,
technically, isn't that a prequel? Didn't that take place Isn't that supposed to take place before Raiders or
Temple of Doom?
Yeah.
It could. I think you're right. Because I think the timeline order. I think the timeline order is, but no, that's the release date.
Yes, Temple of Doom takes place in 35, and then Raiders takes place in 36.
Okay, so then that would make sense.
I've heard the new Indiana Jones game is really good too. I haven't played it at all, but I've heard it's really good. Yeah, and then Crystal Skull takes place in 57. Jeez. And then 1969 for the Dial of Destiny.
I gotta tell you, I'm not like I love the Indiana Jones stunt show. The Indiana Jones movies are not like they're not my go-to if I'm gonna watch just classic films that I grew up on. I'm going
100%.
Jurassic Park. I'm going Back to the Future. I'm going
I'll go back
Star
to the Future,
Wars. I wouldn't put Indiana Jones as like my favorite franchise. It's just the stunt show that I
would agree
love.
with you. I would agree with you on that. I'm putting
again,
Blues Brothers in,
The stunt show, it's why I love old school Epcot. It's nostalgia. It's my childhood. What's that?
You said Epcot. You meant Epcot.
No. I know. Why I love the Indiana Jones stunt show so much now is it's just why it's the same reason why I love old school Epcot. Because it's my childhood. It's nostalgia. Like Horizons, World of Motion, the original Universe of Energy, the original Imagination. All of those things were my childhood. My first experiences at the Disney parks were these attractions. So, even Magic Kingdom, which I can't stand now just because I can't drink there and it's so busy and it's hot. And But, the Indiana Jones stunt show represents the last thing that's still there from the first time I visited. That and maybe Star Tours, but Star Tours isn't even the same as it used to be. There's nothing left at Hollywood Studios, or even I can't think of an original ride that hasn't been changed. I mean, Spaceship Earth, most
that hasn't been changed at all.
Well, Spaceship Earth has been changed.
Yeah.
But it's still the original ride with some modifications. I think that's why I love that ride so much.
Yeah,
the land,
like Live In with the Land, that's technically been changed, like the song and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's still the same ride, so I think that's why I like that one. Imagination is, it's
god awful.
It's there. I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's awful, and the song still exists. Like the song and Figment are the only two things that exist from the original ride. There's some little
Really,
Easter eggs.
the only attraction that has not been changed at all is Small World. Other than that, like even Peter Pan's Flight, that's been updated a little bit, like the different projections.
Yep. Pirates, they added
the
Johnny Depp, the Haunted Mansion, you added the Hatbox Ghost and updated technology. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Thunder Mountain.
Yeah. You can look in stuff in Animal Kingdom, you can the Expedition Everest, but that's 19.
But again, that's not from my childhood. That's
exactly.
1990 or 1998, I think.
98,
I was 18 years old. That's not my child. And I didn't go to Animal Kingdom until I was, much older. But Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, that is my childhood. That the very first time I went to that park, I saw the Indiana Jones stunt show. Yeah. And so it's just, everybody thinks I'm silly for why I love that show so much. Well, and the thing is we joke about Justin and all that. It's the guy who plays the dream job that I never got to, and he's someone who talks to me, so it's less about him, and it's more about like, hey, I get to interact with this person every once in a while, and I know I'm 45 years old. I need to grow up a little bit, but anyway, Dane, this was a super fun episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Incredible.
Happy birthday, Scott. You want to take us out?
Yeah. Dane, what do you got anything coming up on Big Beautiful Diz?
I do. You want a little topic reveal?
Sure. Let's hear it.
So I'm doing a video on something that's actually you know very well. Doing a little video on Pal Mickey.
Oh wow.
So yeah, on email exchanges right now for that video actually, because I'm getting information about it. So, doing a video about Pal Mickey. That's going to be coming out on next week, next Christmas week. It's coming out on Saturday. So that would.
I love Pal Mickey. The only problem is you couldn't hear him.
Right.
Because it gets so loud in the park, you can't. You got to hold him up to your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you never knew when he was going to talk, but.
Originally, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. This video is gonna come out before that video. Never mind. I'll tell you off air.
It really cool concept. Really cool concept. Just very expensive at the time. I think it was $50, which
60.
$50, 60. Okay, so $60 back in the early 2000s, and you can get an interactive one at Universal right now for $50.
Pretty
pricey. Well, it is, but like $60 back then. I say back then, like it was like, anyway. So, but right now, if you were to buy that right now, it probably be $120 in the parks.
Yeah.
Easily $100. But cool piece of technology, was ahead of its time, very poorly executed in my opinion. Because it didn't last. It didn't survive.
Yeah, $60 in 2003 is now $102.
There you go. Yeah.
How about you? What's coming up on Parents Night Out?
Well, we haven't really discussed what is next on Parents Night Out. We're talking about some things. We're talking about ways to kind of enhance the show a little bit, and just get better. But it's always a fun time. We're still trying to, I think, find our new identity and how that works within the show, without losing what we've been. So check that out.
Yeah.
Check it out while we're still trying to find ourselves. We're like an awkward teen.
Right. The Breakfast Club.
There you go. All right. Well, I guess without further ado, as Chris Yob would say 15 times an episode, let's end this thing. On behalf of Dane and Ryan, I'm Scott. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Listening.
Love you, Scott.
Love you, Dane.
See you later, poopy bus.
No new friends, just the old and the bold. In the world of kids, we're the ones you hold. Scott, Chris, Sarah, and Nick, a tale to be told. Welcome to the podcast where adulting unfolds. Where adulting unfolds. Where adulting unfolds.